All right, and we're back with another edition of the Scotty No Show. On this week, we have John Swanson on the show. John, how you doing?
Very well, Scotty. Thank you so much for having me, brother.
Yeah.
Privilege.
So, you are in a band. First of all, what is the band's name?
So the band, two bands, Concerning Behaviors is the heavy metal. That is the original band. We do a lot of original heavy metal tunes, prairie metal, as they call it. And then we do covers like Maiden and Metallica, stuff like that.
Wow.
And then the other band is the one that does a lot more shows. It's a cover band, bar music. That band is called No Worries. And quick plug, we're playing November 25th at the Fieldhouse here in Pierce, South Dakota. So hopefully people come out and support live music and support the Vikings most of all.
Yeah. Of course, you live here in Pierre now. Um, you and I think we met in college. I'll be honest, I don't remember exactly what happened exactly because oh
So
boy, yeah. But
if you want to get, should we
explain
give
how
this?
we know each other.
We'll give the viewers a quick rundown here. So I met Scotty, I believe it was in 2013. Does that sound right? 12,
That sounds
13 when
about
you were at.
right.
So I went on the hobo days, one of those days, and Scotty knew some kids I knew from Jackson County Central. Brandon Pigman, who was on this podcast, who I first actually got to see this podcast from. Great episode. If you haven't watched it, check it out. And I went out there with some buddies to see them, and then Scotty was in the mix with those guys. So him and I cracked beers. He's I heard him say "skull" a few times, and it was chemistry from there. Dynamite. Quick shout
Um,
out to Brandon Pigman. Piggy, if you get to watch this, buddy, cheers and skull.
um, so obviously, you were talking about the music that you play. What are kind of your influences?
So big time when I first started playing guitar, it was all just straight campfire acoustic stuff like Jack Johnson, Slightly Stupid, a lot of just straight acoustic stuff. But I was the first songs I ever learned were all country, just straight country. My mom taught me how to play guitar when I was 14 is when I started. She taught me basic chords, progressions, all that stuff. But first song I ever played and learned was "Beer for My Horses" by Toby Keith. So that's a banger. People love that one still to this
Wow.
day. And yeah, and that's for all you aspiring artists out there. That's a 3 chord song. You can play that song 3 chords. It's wonderful. It's a great way to start. But yeah, that was, and then once I start, funny story, when I moved to Pierce, when I actually got into my more like heavy metal, like electric stuff, because I did a lot of, like I said, acoustic stuff back in the day. But now when I moved to Pierce, which was back in 2015, that's when I met Tim Heath, my guitar player in the band, and he got me really into Iron Maiden, Metallica, because I knew those bands, but I never really dug into them. But once I started getting into them, they were it's a lot of fun to play, and it's heavy. The heavy metal scene in Pierre isn't crazy, but it's coming along nicely, Scotty. We're excited for it.
Do you got a favorite Maiden song?
God, Fear the Dark, maybe Fear the Dark or the Trooper. The Trooper's
There,
awesome. By
there
the
it
way,
is.
I just got to go see Maiden in Sioux Falls back in October, so that was a treat.
Really?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun there at the Denny Sanford, and that was a fun show. Shout out to Megan and Adam. They were both that show, owners of the Fieldhouse. Shout out to those guys. They were at the Maiden show as well. Fun.
How?
Yep.
I believe you went to didn't you go to a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert in Denver like not long ago?
Mile High Stadium, brother. Yep, that was a lot of fun. They just put this album out back in 2021, and they toured this summer, and yeah, it was fun. They did a lot of the bangers, the big boys, a few of the good new ones I really like, and yeah, it's live music. Other than Vikings, it's my wife, live music, Minnesota Vikings, and I love them all dearly.
Flea wasn't naked during it, was he?
No, but that would have been a treat. That would have been awesome. That would have been back to the '80s style, which I like.
Yeah.
It's great.
Have you seen the what is it? well, there's several of these Woodstock 99 documentaries, and he's just out there just dick out just playing guitar while there's a riot going on.
Riot.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I knew people who were actually at that '99 show.
What?
So when I used to I used to wash dishes back in Lakeville, the Horse Barn Hunt Club. Shout out Horse Barn Hunt Club. And yeah, Amory Rosso, the owner's daughter, went to that Woodstock '99, and I heard tell of it, but when that Netflix series came out, that was a eye opener. That's good television. If you haven't seen it, that's a very good documentary, and I just like how in that documentary they even say, like, do you know what bands you got playing at this thing? Because it was a lot more aggressive music than it was peace and love, as they say.
Yeah. Uh, one more little thing. We'll do one more shout out before we get to two kind of other topics, and then we have our tier that we have coming up.
Yes.
Shout out to, was it the Wahi Pond? Is that where you also work?
Yes, sir. Oahe Pond and Dive Shop down in 2007 East Wells Avenue. Come on down and say hi to your boy. Yeah, we pond, we do U-Hauls, we DJ events like different Christmas parties, stuff like that. And then we just acquired the dive shop 2 years ago. So this was our first full dive season doing scuba diving classes, refilling tanks, buying spear guns, all your scuba diving or snorkeling needs. We also do that down there too, a Wahi Dive Shop. So
Okay.
that's we're really excited about that.
Yeah. So I believe it was on Saturday I saw you at the Fieldhouse, and we were both watching the peer governors win yet another state title.
Studs.
What's it been like for you, kind of watching them from afar?
Outstanding. It's so it was kind of tough. So when I first moved here, my brother was a principal, and so I knew some of the kids that were. He was a principal at Buchanan School,
Okay.
so I knew some of the kids that were coming up. So I did kind of pay attention to it. But now this year, watching that how do you pronounce it? Keinholz or Keenholz?
Keenholes.
Stud. Wow, it's that was a lot. It's a lot of fun watching him. So I only got to watch the section championship game and then I watched the state championship game, but I saw him play that Friday night game before state. Dude, it's no question why he's getting recruited by D1 colleges.
Yep.
He has good vision. He runs the ball well. They'll beef him up whatever D1 school he goes to. I know he said something about Washington, right?
That's where he's committed to.
Which bully for him. That's awesome. It's a good school, and they'll redshirt him. I would imagine. Wouldn't you think, Scotty?
Probably. I mean, his coach there, DeBoer, is a Millbank native.
No
Interestingly
kidding.
enough, yeah.
Damn.
So that kind of helped out with his recruiting. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting connection to see how that works out.
So it was funny when I was watching that state championship game, when he got that interception, which we thought was a pick six at first.
Yep.
I immediately thought the Friday Night Lights where Booby's uncle is in the stands and he can throw the ball. But I was thinking about him intercepting the ball. That kid he's a stud. Nothing I can say else about it. He's a baller.
Yep. And shout out Jack Merquan, of course, as well, from that team. A lot of people on that team really good. That Jason Mashashok, the number 64, the lineman, all state lineman.
I saw him too, and then I think it was number 20 on defense, 20 or 22.
Okay. Oh, Sarda, one of the Sardas, I think.
Made a lot of plays.
Yeah.
The whole game, it was close in the beginning, but then it kind of, when Pierre kind of got their flow, they kind of just slowly slipped away.
Yeah.
Much to my pleasure. Go Govs.
Of course, Merquan is going to be playing in like that gray and blue all American game or something like that. I think I saw. Cool. So that's pretty big. That's down in Arlington, where the Cowboys play. So that's going to be an interesting thing for him. We'll try and get him on sometime soon to talk about that.
Definitely, that was a cool experience for sure.
Oh yeah, and then Gavin Stotts I think he was the lineman of the game or
He's the
something
kid who
like
got
that.
interviewed, right?
He's number 50, the guy that just was the linebacker that was just wrecking people.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds familiar. What I was talking about is at the end of the game, they interviewed one of these old linemen who transferred from a school, I think Douglas, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's Mache Shock.
Okay, yeah. So it reminded me very much of the T.J. Hawkinson signing. How we got him. He's like, hey, it's quite the change from going to a scrub squad to somebody who actually wins games. I got very. It's always Vikings, Scotty. I'm always whenever I'm
Yeah.
watching this stuff, I'm always thinking skull seeing.
Yeah. Although
Always.
Douglas, uh, decent football program. I just think they're in the wrong class.
A lot of people say that about Pierre, actually.
Uh, I mean, they could move up if they wanted, but
It's
people,
population though. It's not our fault,
yeah, yeah,
and we'll see.
people are like, oh, we don't have the numbers to compete with, like, 0 through 99. It's like it's not about the numbers. Sometimes it's about the talent that you have.
Without
Uh,
question.
So, um,
It'll be fun to see what they have here in the next few years now that he's graduating and going on. Shout
yeah.
out to Seth Shop, freshman on that squad, number 19. Seth Shop, shout out, brother.
We would like to wish good luck. Probably by the time you're watching this, they'll probably have already played their first game, but the peer volleyball team going to state, as well as another green team. Shout out Miller going to state. The great town of Miller, very good volleyball program.
The Rustlers, if I'm correct. Is
Yep.
that right?
Yep.
Yeah, we played many a show in St. Lawrence, just to the east of
Ooh. Okay. So
Willie's Bar.
so obviously, you're a big Vikings fan. How you feeling about that game that they had against the Bills?
Scotty, how much time you got, brother? No, it was a lot of fun. It's these Vikings. We're waiting for that convincing win. We want that win where it's a nice 14, 21 point win. We need a statement win, or else people, you see the power rankings that
Yeah.
people have us at number one. Disregard that, Vikings fans. Do not build the hype up. We got to piss pound a team first, in my opinion.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that Bills game was a definitive one. It was a lot of fun to watch, a lot of yelling. So I was at my brother's to watch the first half, and I was just pissed off how we were playing. It's the squad. I just don't know how to gauge it. Anyways, I came back to my own home to watch it and just sat here by myself and watched it because I was so pissed off. And that AP run, I wish I had a decibel counter in my home because that AP 81 yard, or not AP, I'm sorry,
Dalvin.
Dalvin Cook. It reminded me of AP, obviously.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, just a good game. It's tough when you can't push the ball in from the 1 yard line, the half-yard line. That's inexcusable. But the refs were working against us as well, and God is a karma God. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ is a karma God, and we got ours. Skull.
Yeah. Uh gonna be tough to beat the Cowboys. I feel like it's a letdown spot. Classic letdown spot.
Yep, it's and you can't even say it's a trap game
No.
because we're not even favored. But
No.
we have it. It's in Minneapolis. Granted, last times we got beat by Andy Dalton and Cooper Cup, so we've got work. I estimate, Scotty. I'm gonna give you my prediction, then you give me yours for your Sunday. I'm gonna say Vikings 21, Cowboys 17.
First of all, it's Cooper Rush, I think is who you were thinking of, not Cooper
Did I say
Cup.
Cooper Cup?
Yeah, you did.
He's on my mind too. He's on the IR now, man.
I say sadly, I feel like this is where the Cowboys get us. This feels like a 27-24 game.
Very good guess. And you're in
Yeah.
favor of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
You're an analytics man. I appreciate that. I could never. That's just. But yeah, like you said, Scotty, it's they get us every time. I don't know what it is. They come
If
up to
they
US Bank.
If they don't get us, the Patriots will on Thanksgiving.
I'll put money on that. I will bet that we piss pound the Patriots
On Thanksgiving?
on Thanksgiving. 7:20. It's prime. This is time for Kirk Cousins to say no more prime time talk. Let's go. The time has come.
All right. So
Scotty, real quick before we move on, I want to get your opinion on the Jefferson catch to the comparison of the Odell. What do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the Jefferson catch is better because the team that Jefferson played for won.
Well said.
Odell Beckham, when he made that catch, the Giants still lost to the Cowboys, so it didn't matter.
Yes, sir. I agree. It's all about situation.
Yep. So our tier this week is Minnesota Vikings quarterbacks. Now this is going back from I think the 60s or 70s. It's not every quarterback here. There's only like 20 or so. Actually, a little bit more than 20 now. I'm looking at it.
I think we've gone through 15 in the last 5 years or 6, not that long, but yeah, last 10 years we've gone through a lot, buddy.
Some of these are what I like to call preseason darlings.
Nice.
That you might have forgot played for the Vikings. And others are, the ones you're probably thinking of. Are you ready to see this list?
Boy, howdy, yeah, my buddy. But before we do it, if you don't mind, I'm gonna have a beer here quick in honor of the Vikings.
Okay.
Before every game, I always chug a beer. So before this tiers, I'm gonna have a quick beer.
Oh,
shout out to my boys back in Jackson County, Ty Schwarty and Tyler Asa. He's in Colorado nowadays, but I'm just shouting some names that you know, Scotty.
Yeah.
Of course, my boy Brandon Pigman. Pigman going soft, skull.
Speaking of Busch Light, I found this out the other night. Shout out Duke Cannon. We're giving out way too many shout outs right now. I feel like. But Duke Cannon, it's a company. They make soaps and shampoos. I accidentally bought 2 bars of soap of this. They have a Busch beer scented soap. So yeah. So yeah. Anyways,
I love the taste of it. The smell doesn't drive me wild, but try it out, Scotty. Who knows?
I will.
You might find one woman who really gets it going.
I will.
Yes, sir.
Here is the list. All right. So our first one that we have here, I don't know if you can see it, how well you can see it.
Nope, I got it right here. Are you going top left to right?
Yeah, we're going left to right here. Brooks Bollinger.
He looks like he was probably in the early 2000s, I would guess.
Mid 2000s. You remember when Adrian Peterson had that 295-yard game?
His rookie year in 2007. I remember. What was it, 2007 or 6?
2007. He was one of the quarterbacks for the Vikings that night or that day.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That was against the Chargers. I remember AP well.
Yep.
That was the very year I actually graduated high school. So I was a big AP is my favorite Viking far and away, without question.
Okay. So Brooks Bollinger, where do you rate him?
Buddy, I don't even know why his completion pad. Let's put him at D.
That's fair. That's fair.
We like D on that one.
Yeah. He didn't do very much. He only played like one season for Minnesota.
Okay.
Next up, Todd Bouman, who last I checked.
Todd Bouman.
Yeah. So do you remember Todd Bouman?
I do not. I remember the name. I know he played for us for 2 seasons?
A couple seasons, yeah. He was Dante Culpepper's backup.
Okay.
So whenever Dante would get injured, Todd Bouman would come through, and he had one really decent game against. I feel like it was the Saints, but I'm probably wrong. But as of right now, he's actually a coach in some small town high school in Minnesota.
No kidding.
Yeah, by like Mount. I want to say it's around the Montevideo area.
Yep, Montevideo, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, so he's living around that area. Um, I know you probably don't know him very well, but I would put him. He's also in the D category, I feel.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm
He
good
categories.
guy, good
Yeah.
guy, good guy, but yeah. Sam
Oh,
Bradford.
all right. Now we're talking. I remember
Yep,
that cat. That
yep.
was
Sam Bradford again only played one season for the Vikings. I think if I'm remembering correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think he was the quarterback when they started like 6-0.
yes, because we had that's our that was Stephon Diggs' rookie year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
That sounds right, correct?
Yes.
Rookie or sophomore. Yeah,
R-
I remember it. I was all for it. When they signed Bradford, I was going home. I'm like, yep. But we can talk about it now, the injury bug. That was
Yep.
the concern going in, and that was the fate.
Mm-hmm. I feel like he's a C. What do you say?
Read my mind. If he would have played more than 16 games for us, yeah. But
Yep.
he's a sure, I agree.
Um, talk about a preseason darling here. This is Jake Browning. Uh,
Not from
yeah, not familiar at all because he never got any regular season playing time. He was only a
oh,
preseason guy.
nice.
I believe he played at Washington. Um, that's really all I have on him. He only
Uh,
played for like 3 seasons in the NFL. He's an F.
we gotta, sadly.
Um, my boy here, it's Case
Talk to me.
Keenum.
Talk to me.
Case Keenum. 2 words, Minneapolis Miracle. That's all I need to say.
Quick sidebar, Scotty. Where were you at when you watched that game back in 2017?
I was sitting at my desk at the Capitol Journal.
Oh, no kidding. You were
Yeah,
working.
yeah. I was watching it on Sling, I think, or some sort of website. So
Outrageous.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Uh, I feel like he didn't get as good of a shot as he could have.
A lot of people, myself included, I wasn't crazy about the hire of Kirk Cousins after that season. I was not for it at the time.
Yeah.
You got to ride that momentum into the next season just to at least see what happens. I agree, Scotty.
So I say a B,
I
solid
so
B.
so solid B talent wise.
Yeah.
The only reason I would give him an A is because of that play. That was an earth shattering play.
You know what? I can be talked into A.
You okay with that? Let's give him an A, Scotty, just because that game was the most extreme emotional swing in a room I've ever felt. I've done a
Yep.
lot of live events. I've been a lot of places. I was down in Colorado with 6 of my buddies on a ski trip, and that condo went from extremely sad to extreme jubilation within 45 seconds, and it was outstanding. A
Oh yeah.
plus for a case.
Yep. A guy who I've seen like most of the games I've gone to for the Vikings, I feel like Matt Castle started them.
I've I remember him. Oh yeah,
Yeah. So Matt Castle is next up. Um solid, solid quarterback, nothing special though.
he won some games for us, but he's a C.
Yeah,
A C or B because he did win some games, but he only played for what 1 season for us, maybe
couple seasons, I think.
was it a couple?
Yeah, because I will say this, he was the starting quarterback when the Vikings played in the final game at the Dome, a game in which I went to.
Nice.
So, and they won that. Thank you, Cordero Patterson. Um,
What a stud. Still balling.
yeah. Oh boy. The next four are like a murderer's row here. Dante
Now
Culpepper,
we're in my wheelhouse now. So I had Dante Culpepper. We drafted him what 2000
2000.
was it 2000? I was gonna say
Yep.
2001. I should have wore the Culpepper jersey in honor of him because that's the only Vikings quarterback jersey I actually own. I,
He's an S for me.
So I was going to ask you about that. What's S mean?
S is like God tier, like Hall of Fame.
He could throw 80 yards flat footed, Scotty.
He was on the cover of Madden.
Yes. I think what him and AP and Favre. I think Favre that was in Packers when he was on there. But yeah,
Yep.
yep, do it. He was. It wasn't his fault that we let down those seasons.
No.
Yep, I like that.
Talk about an S tier for the one season that we had him. Randall Cunningham.
Dynamite. Dude, his legs, the way, well, he had Reed, Carter, and Moss, so
Yeah.
that makes it a little easier. But yeah, I'll be honest with you, that 98, 99 season is when I first actually remember watching Vikings football. Because I would have been 10 when that went down.
Yeah.
So that's when I actually remember watching them, because I remember the big hullabaloo about the missed kick. I didn't understand the gravity of the situation until I got older, but I do remember Randy Moss balling out hard.
That was like, I want to say that was like my second football memory. For some reason, my first is a random Monday night football game between the Packers and the 49ers in like 1996.
There you go.
But speaking of the Packers, who was their starting quarterback in that game? Our next option, Brett Favre.
He can't be S. He cannot be S, Scotty. We'll give him an A.
He's an A.
Just
for sure.
And I don't even put the NFC Championship game in 09 on Favre. I put that on AP.
That's solid, yeah.
Favre threw across his body, but we knew that going in. AP fumbled 4 times, gave away 3.
Yep.
We had no business being in that game. I was happy we were in it, but yeah. And he's a solid A.
And now the greatest quarterback of the Minnesota Viking history, Fran Tarkenton.
Yep. He's an S without question. He is the best quarterback we've ever had.
I'm putting him at the very front of S because he got them to 3 of their 4 Super Bowls.
Yep. I couldn't agree more, buddy. And I've only seen highlights, but the way he could run the ball, he was a stallion.
He kind of popularized the scrambling quarterback that we see a lot of today.
Without question. I couldn't agree more, for sure. You even look at him running the ball around. He not near as fast, but he gives you that Lamar feel, like the way he ran. He kind of, the way he moved away from defenders and weaved. Yeah, good guys. He's the best Vikings quarterback ever.
And now we go to the turd in the punch bowl. That is Josh Freeman.
Scotty, I was so into it when there was talk about that swirl, and I was into it, because I think that's right after we lost Sam Bradford, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. And gave him 2 days of preparation on like a Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it wasn't. I'm for it because I like when teams take chances, but this is a D or C. You think an F?
I'm thinking F because that game was fucking awful.
Trash. But I see, and that's the thing. I don't mind them. The reason I gave it a C or a D because I don't mind the Vikings gambling on it. But on his straight talent, in case, an F is where he belongs.
Yeah. I'm putting him ahead of Jake Browning just because Jake Browning did absolutely fucking nothing.
Agreed. I like it, but
Rich Gannon, who so the thing with Rich Gannon is I feel like he's more remembered as a Raider.
Big time.
Yeah. Or a Chief for that matter.
Did he even play a full season with us?
He played a couple.
Did he?
Yeah.
Damn. Some of these in that kind of late 2000s, like the 2006 through like 12.
This is early 90s here.
Early 90s.
Yeah, for Rich Gannon.
I don't remember Rich Gannon, buddy.
Yeah, so I feel like he's a C at the very best.
Based on talent wise, because he did do work with the Raiders for sure.
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk about Gus Frerotte, though.
Oh my God. So whenever I see anybody wearing a Minnesota Viking 12 jersey, my first question is, okay, is that a Percy Harvin or is that a Gus Frerotte?
Or a Ponder?
Ponder we'll talk about soon. I know. But by the way, he's number 7. Ponder it
Oh, was
was.
he really?
Yes.
I'm gonna. You're a good
So
man.
yep. Gus Frerotte, just a reminder, he did give himself a concussion, celebrating a touchdown when he was quarterback of Washington.
I remember he ran into the padding.
Yep.
Yep, I remember it.
Um,
C or D?
yeah, D.
D. Agreed.
Yeah, but ahead of D because I just he's one of those quarterbacks. He's bad, but you love him.
Oh, he like you said, he seemed like a personable guy, and he wasn't the worst, shittiest quarterback, but he just wasn't that good.
Taylor Heineke. Talk about a preseason darling for the Vikings. I seem to remember him leading a comeback effort in a preseason finale against, I think, Denver.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he was a preseason stud. Now he's quarterbacking the Washington Commanders to wins, buying Jordans, being swaggy as hell. Um, I like him now. I part of me wishes he was at least a backup.
I'm very happy for him what he's doing down there in Washington. Though that game Monday night was awesome. I'm not crazy how we celebrated the roughing the passer at the end of the game, but he was jacked up. So yeah, I'd give him a B, buddy.
Uh, I feel like for what are we grading this on what he did for the Vikings though?
Scotty, that's a very good point. I just thought about that because he didn't do shit for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right.
I,
Yep.
I feel I feel
More of a
like
final deal.
I feel like C.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll put him in the back of C. So for right now.
Shout out to
Uh
him for a balling out for Washington, though. I am happy for him. That's awesome.
Big Sean.
Beat his ass.
Big Sean.
Sean Hill, I remember him. He won some games for us. He didn't.
Yep.
He was terrible.
Uh when there was a game that I went to, they were playing the Rams. Teddy got a concussion and Sean Hill came in and led them to victory in overtime.
Damn.
That was when they were playing at TCF Bank.
The dome collapsed.
No, this was like the year
But
before US Bank opened.
oh, and they were building it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So uh also a C.
I'm thinking because yeah, he didn't do much. He won games, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to make that jump from C to B if you don't really do much.
Mm-hmm. Uh Travaris Jackson, RIP, first of all.
Right? Real talk.
Yeah. I feel like he's beloved somehow in Minnesota. He's like a folk hero of sorts.
After after Cunningham, he was like the first mobile quarterback we had. So that's how I kind of remember him. He was a wide receiver playing quarterback. So I was about him while he played for us.
Ended up winning a Super Bowl with Seattle, I believe. Um, very good at coin tosses. Little known fact, very good at coin tosses. I feel
Can you
he's
hear me
got to
now,
be.
Scotty?
Yeah, I've been able to hear you for a while. I've heard you all this entire time. Can
Perfect. I
you?
got you. I got
Okay.
you now.
I'm gonna say B.
He deserves it for sure.
A guy that led us to. Oh, what am I doing here? A guy that led us. Actually, the next few led the Vikings to uh playoff runs. George Jeff George up next.
Jeff George, I remember the name. I don't remember watching him play for us, but I do remember Jeff George as the quarterback.
He was the quarterback in between Cunningham and Dante.
Okay. So a
Yep.
nice queen guy. So we had a few seasons for us, or just a few.
Just one. Uh he led us to the playoffs. Uh let I think they beat the Cowboys in in the wild card round that year. Um, but then they ran into the absolute buzzsaw that was the greatest show on turf the next week.
The Rams.
Yep. He feels like a B.
Do it. I like it.
A guy that you might have forgotten played for the Vikings, Jim McMahon.
I do
Um,
do remember that quarterback.
he's most known for leading the Bears in that 1985 season.
Yep. He's a very flashy, a showboating guy. I remember cocky cat.
Yep. Uh, in 1993, he led the Vikings to 9 wins in like 12 games and 12 starts or something like that.
Damn.
And they made it to the playoffs, but they lost to the Giants that year.
Damn.
But I think he
Was that,
was
was that one where the Giants piss pounded us?
no. That was 2000. That was Dante.
Oh, okay. Yep. With the possible collusion with the sideline bullshit.
Yep.
Yep.
Jim McMahon, I feel like he's a B.
I was gonna say B, man, for sure, because like you said, he's a polarizing character, and I didn't even know he played for the Vikings. That's awesome.
Yep.
Learning all
Uh
sorts of stuff on this podcast. Heck yeah.
oh yeah. Brad Johnson, one of my all-time favorites. I fucking love Brad Johnson.
Absolutely. It's a major bummer when he went and won a fucking championship for the Bucks. That was a bummer. I do remember that as a kid.
Yep. And that year, that infamous 1998 year, uh Randall Cunningham wasn't the only starter for the Vikings that year. Brad
Yep.
was.
Mm-hmm.
Um and then he left, went to Tampa. Actually, I think he went to Washington first before
Oh,
he
is that right?
going to Tampa. Yeah. He went to Washington first before going to Tampa, and then he came back to Minnesota. I think he might have been the quarterback when we had like Chester Taylor at running back.
Oh, damn. AP
Um,
man.
yeah. Uh, honestly, maybe it's just because I love him so much. I almost want to say A.
It's got to be A. I was gonna say A. I thought you were gonna go S, not quite S, but definitely an A.
Yeah. And finally, uh, in that kind of quad of playoff success, you want to talk about playoff success. It doesn't get any better than the first quarterback to lead the Vikings to a Super Bowl in Joe Cap.
Go.
So weirdly enough, he led us to the Super Bowl, and then we traded him to New England the next year. Um, but he's got to be S just because he got the Vikings to the Super Bowl.
Without question. Love it. I love everything about it.
No, not ahead of Randall. Um, sorry. I R.I.P. Joe Cap. I know. I'm pretty sure he's no longer with us, but yeah, you're not better than Randall Cunningham.
No,
Kelly Holcomb. Do you remember Kelly Holcomb?
I do not know this cat.
Kelly Holcomb was also kind of in that mid 2000s Brooks Bollinger, uh, Travaris Jackson era. He's a D for me.
I like it.
He was a very good quarterback though. I liked what I saw from him. Uh, yeah, I'm not. I can't put anybody ahead of Gus Frerotte in that
Gus
one.
Frerotte, just the name itself demands respect. Frerotte.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Now we're
Whew.
getting into this shit. My boy, Captain.
Kirk Cousins, aka Kirk Thuggins, aka Captain Kirk, aka just the goofy youth pastor himself.
AKA a B plus quarterback.
Yep.
I do love Kirk Cousins. I like what he brings to the locker room. He's a straight up guy. He's a little soft for my liking. I like a little more edge. Like Favre, my boy Favre had that. Dante Culpepper had a little more edge. Kirk Cousins is just vanilla white bread.
Yeah.
He gets the job done. That's what but we got to see. I was talking to my buddy last week before the Bills game. We're going to learn a lot about this team in the next 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
So if he goes, this is a big game against the Cowboys. Kirk's got to have this game.
Yeah.
And I know you think the Cowboys winning, but if Kirk Cousins can avoid the turnovers, we got to give Dalvin Cook 30 touches. I want
Yep.
Dalvin Cook to get 30 touches against his defense. If he gets 20 or less, that's bad coaching.
Yeah, I notoriously do not like Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
So I think he's fool's gold, personally.
He's
Um,
got to win a meaningful game, and I don't want to
yeah,
hear about the game against the Saints 2 years ago.
yeah,
That's done.
yeah. Yeah, so B is as good as we're gonna go with him.
I couldn't agree more.
Kyle Sloter, another preseason legend.
Mm-hmm. I remember him.
Sloter's revenge, of course. Where do you put him at?
He's a C plus. He's a C quarterback. He wants it. He was there. C or D. What do you think?
Yeah, C. You know what? I'm putting Gus Frerotte up to C. I like him too much.
Go, Scotty. We can do whatever we want, brother. I like it.
Yeah. McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Oh, looking at your lineup down here, this guy does not ring any bells.
Yeah, he shouldn't. Another preseason guy. Yeah, he's an F. Sorry.
Sorry, buddy.
This is an interesting pick, mainly because he didn't do anything for Minnesota, but Donovan McNabb in his day, maybe the best quarterback in that the Eagles have ever had.
That's you're not stretching that. That's he got into what, like 2 or 3 NFC championship games? One Super Bowl?
Four NFC championship games. No, maybe 5, actually.
They were balling.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, because there was a run from like 2001 to like 2005 where they went to like 4 or 5 straight NFC championship games.
Yeah, I remember their dominance in the early 2000s for sure, early to mid.
But based on what he did for the Vikings,
right?
D.
We give him a B.
Oh, you're gonna give him a B.
But you're right, Scotty, because we're talking Vikings. So with us, he didn't do shit. So you're all right. So we can give him a C if you want.
Actually, I'm putting Sloter down. I can't put. Yeah.
So the McNabb, I don't know if you have the info in front of you, like what year we actually got him on that trade, but I was ecstatic about this pickup.
Yeah.
I was for it. When it went down, I was ready to go buy a jersey, but then, like you said, he didn't do shit for us. So thank God I saved that $80.
Yeah. Warren Moon. Just to refresh your memory, he was the quarterback for the Vikings in 94 and 95. Those are the 2 best years of Chris Carter's career.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, statistically, those are the 2 best years of Chris Carter's career. So Warren Moon kind of made Chris Carter a star.
And that's just on the cusp, like I said, because I remember watching like in the '98 season. So he was right before I was really balls deep into him. But yeah, on reputation alone, he's an A.
Yeah.
I remember my old man talks about him. He loves Kurt. He loves Warren Moon.
A guy whose jersey I unfortunately bought, Christian Ponder.
Smartest quarterback to ever go into the draft, apparently, Scotty.
Yeah, supposedly. I remember when he got drafted, I was when he got drafted, I was coaching third base at an intramural baseball game or softball game at Black Hills State, and
Nice.
and I'm coaching third base, and I'm like, "Fuck, we got Ponder," and they're like, "Scotty, we're playing a game right now."
Buddy. Dude, yeah, because I think so. That's maybe where I was confused. I think we took him with the 12th pick,
Yep,
correct?
yep.
So that's where I got 12 and 7 mixed up. Because yeah, I remember I was Scotty. I was about it too. I I got blinders. I got rose colored glasses when it comes to the Vikings, man. If they make something that seems right, I will support it 110%.
Uh, I feel like he's a C though.
With a C or D.
Yeah, I feel like you can put him in as like a bridge gap in between Castle and Hill.
Yep, I like it. Because yeah, he did win some games for us, but he had the best running back on the planet. So
Yeah. Also he was the starting quarterback for the Vikings in that when AP got 2,000 yards, he was a starter.
yep, I
Ponder
remember.
was. A guy who is probably more well known for being on ESPN than actually being a Viking quarterback, Sean Salisbury.
Salisbury. I'm not familiar, Scotty.
Sean Salisbury, he was a starter in the early 90s. Also kind of a backup. Um, transitioned to a broadcasting career. Had a pretty interesting rivalry with John Clayton on ESPN.
Oh, nice.
Um, yeah, he's like he might be in between Ponder and Hill.
I like it. So he did some work in the NFL.
Decent, but like not great.
Okay, let's talk about this next guy,
Oh boy.
my boy.
Teddy Bridgewater, who, if I'm remembering correctly, same draft class as Johnny Manziel.
Yep,
And I very desperately wanted Johnny Manziel
a lot of fans
because the thought of Johnny Manziel running around Minneapolis would be fun.
for
And
sure.
and I remember very distinctly Wyatt and Pig, or actually it might have been Wyatt and Travis.
Shout out to Travis, by the way. It's been a coon's age since I've seen those boys.
Yeah, Wyatt and Travis. They tackled me, they tied me up, and they tied me up with duct tape. And there's video of like, I didn't want Bridgewater, I wanted Manziel. Damn it! And I'm just like tied up with duct tape. Um,
Manziel fever, man. He who knows what could have been, but Teddy Bridgewater, I was very
Teddy,
happy to pick up
Teddy, Teddy's a B.
without question, for sure. I was gonna just on what he did. If he would have gotten hurt, he could have been an A. But yeah, it's I love B, Scotty. That's a perfect pick.
Now here's the question: do you put him ahead or behind Kirk?
Behind without question. Track record alone. Kirk Cousins have won more games, throwing more passes. He throws a better ball than Teddy without question.
I think this next pick can be interesting.
Tommy Kramer.
Yep.
Stallion.
What's his nickname that they call him? 12 pack Tommy.
Yep.
Yeah. He,
So that's got to be an S for me if I'm saying so directly, just because on reputation alone.
I'd agree. He was the quarterback for a play that if you're an old Minnesota Viking fan, you remember it very fondly, called the Miracle at the Met.
Yep, yep.
Um, he
Against
threw what?
was that against Dallas?
No, it was against, of all people, the Cleveland Browns.
That's right. Yep, yep. You were
Yep.
correct.
And he played for the Vikings forever. He played for them for like a decade. and he was the quarterback after Fran Tarkenton. So much pressure. His first season starting was like 1979, and then he was done in like 1987. So that's like a solid decade of production. And because of that, I feel like he's an A.
Okay, let's do it.
Um,
I
his
like I, I like your placement. He deserves to be in front of those other cats.
Yep. His backup was Wade Wilson, aka Deadpool. Um, because he shared the name with the Marvel character.
Yes, sir.
Um, he was the quarterback when the Vikings made that pretty pretty good run in 1987. They upset the heavily favored um 49ers in San Francisco in the playoffs. And then they were one, I think his name is Ted Brown, catch away from going to the Super Bowl against the Broncos.
Damn.
Um, but that Super Bowl was eventually won by Washington. Uh, so who knows if how that would have gone. Um, he
What
is he's a B for me.
beautiful. Scotty, I'm learning a lot. I appreciate you enriching my Vikings history. This is good stuff, brother.
I'm putting him slightly behind Teddy.
Okay, I like it. Teddy,
Uh,
he that I know everyone knows the injury, but what could have been? Who
I
knows?
know.
He, God, if not for a terrible kick, you never know.
So you remember how I was telling you about how Teddy or not Teddy, was it Teddy? No, Ponder was the starter for that for when Adrian got 2,000 yards.
Yep.
Well, he got injured that game, couldn't play the next week. And so
Josh,
you're going into a playoff game, you're going into Lambeau Field, and you throw out a fucking wide receiver at quarterback in Joe Webb.
so this is who I was mistaken earlier for the other quarterback we were talking about for us. But yeah, I was talking about Tavares Jackson. Webb is the wide receiver quarterback I was referring to earlier in this tier. But yeah, I remember it.
And because he absolutely stunk up the show, worst playoff performance in NFL history, I think,
Oh,
for
no
a
kidding.
starting quarter, one of them.
Damn.
So F for that reason.
Yeah. Do we give him credit for a D because he wasn't technically a quarterback? Do we give him a little
Oh,
of and Scotty? Just a little bit.
okay. He'll go right there ahead of
Yeah,
Bauman.
I like it. It's just because, like you said, he was thrown into the fire. He wasn't supposed to be doing that.
Yeah. And you want to talk about like a one game starter? Spurgeon Wynn. You probably don't even fucking remember Spurgeon Wynn.
No, I like the name. I like Spurgeon. That's a cool name.
Yeah, I think he played one game when Dante got injured, and you know, the other quarterbacks weren't available. Just a god awful quarterback. I remember he had like a rating on Madden of like 60, which is
Oh,
terrible.
not great.
Um, so he's an F, and he's also when I think of terrible Viking quarterbacks or just terrible quarterbacks, he's the first one I think of.
That Sky, I'm looking at this tier and I love it. I'm gonna take a quick screenshot of this actually.
I will save and download this and we can share it afterwards.
Where
Um,
you? I
so,
like the list, man. I like it.
uh, do you think anybody needs to be moved?
These are all the Vikings starting quarterbacks.
Most of them. Like
I know
there's
there's
no there's no Norm Van Brocklin, no like early 60s pre Fran Tarkenton, you know.
sure. Yep. Scotty, from the ones I know, I like it a lot. This is just my Gomer side, but my boy McNabb, he's too good to be at a D. I don't like him at a D.
But he didn't do anything for Minnesota though.
Not a goddamn thing.
Yeah. Given I say he did nothing for Minnesota. Taylor Heineke didn't do anything for Minnesota, but there's a chance he could come back.
Right. Hell, if he depending on how he ends up, he could they got wild card written on them down there in Washington.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that East. I'll tell you what. Very curious division to keep your eyes on.
Yep. So that with that I'm going to save that
I love it.
and we will share that with the people. And yeah, so that's our show this week. How do you have any closing thoughts?
Scotty, thank you so much. We talked about doing this for a while now, and it was a lot of fun, brother. I can't wait to do it again. We should check out a Vikings game sometime here this season, brother.
Oh yeah. And one last time, and by the way, we usually do a post show, so stick around for that.
Nice.
But one last time, tell the people what you got going on with your with No Worries.
So no worries. We're playing the show here the Friday after Thanksgiving, the 25th at the Fieldhouse. One of my favorite bars to play at here in town. It's a sports bar here in Pierre, up on the north end of town. Wonderful staff there. I love playing that show, and that starts. It's a 9 to 12 show, 21 plus. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and hopefully see everybody out there. And also, hey, quick plug as well for Minnesota. Anybody who watches this back in Jackson County, I will also be doing an acoustic show at the Shed Chill and Grill on Highway
Oh.
in Lakefield, Minnesota. It's a 3 hour show from 8 to 11.
And of course, if you go to the Shed, get the hot hen. That's a suggestion from me.
One of my brother.
I fucking love the hot hen.
They
I just love the Shed. The Shed is a fucking great place.
Scotty, I remember last I saw you a few weeks back, and we talked about next time I go home, having you hop in the car and spend a weekend back in Minnesota with us. The boys would love to see you, brother.
Yeah. So yeah. Thanks for coming on. Stick around for the post show. But
Thank you.
we'll see all of you listeners next time.
Cheers, Skull Viking. Let's go.